Week 10 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few tight ends. I have his sleepers this week. The first tight end, Pat Freiermuth of the Pittsburgh Steelers, still out there 90% of fantasy leagues. I know he's been a touchdown-dependent tight end this season for the most part for the Steelers team, and also the targets and receptions haven't been there. But the last few weeks, he's been a little bit more involved in this offense. Week 7 at Cincinnati, a breakout game, even though it's the worst defense in the league. 5 catches, 111 yards. 2 touchdowns, 6 targets. Week 8 versus the Packers, 3 catches, 13 yards, 4 targets. And Week 9 versus the Colts, 3 catches, 27 yards, a touchdown on 4 targets. So this Pittsburgh Steelers team, they didn't go out there at the trade deadline and bring in another receiver or any type of playmaker on this roster. So Freiermuth, he arguably could be the second option in this passing game behind DK Metcalf. In the last 2 out of 3 weeks, he's had double-digit fantasy points, where Freiermuth get more involved in the offense. And he's got 3 touchdowns in the last 3 games. He's available in 90% of fantasy leagues. And a sleeper this week, the next sleeper, Luke Musgrave of the Green Bay Packers. So Musgrave, they used good draft capital as a day 2 pick. Musgrave was a few seasons ago. And now Tucker Kraft out for the year with a torn ACL. We know Kraft, he overpassed him on the depth chart a couple seasons ago, where Musgrave was supposed to be the starting tight end. So Musgrave now, he's going to be the starter remainder of the season, obviously, is Musgrave. And we'll see if that upside could come to fruition now that he's getting an opportunity to be an every down tight end. Week 8 at Pittsburgh, he catch 5 yards. In Week 9 versus Carolina, where he came in relief for Tucker Kraft, 3 catches, 34 yards on 3 targets. So this week, they know they got to put points on the board. They're versing the Philadelphia Eagles coming in. And I know the Eagles give up the second least amount of fantasy points to tight ends on the season, but Tucker Kraft's targets have to go somewhere, and I think Luke Musgrave's going to get some of it, obviously. I know Christian Watson, he'll get some targets. You still got Romeo Doubs, who's having a solid season. But like I said, if you're in a pinch at the tight end position, I think Musgrave could be a sleeper option this week. This offense obviously favors the tight end, the way the scheme and the formation is. And the final tight end I have is the sleepers, Mason Taylor of the New York Jets, out there in 81% of fantasy leagues. I know the Jets, they traded for Donnie Mitchell in the Sauce Gardner deal, and also got John Mechie last week in the Michael Carter deal. But still, I think Mason Taylor the number 2 option in this passing game. And this Jet team, they're going to trail majority of these games this season. But this week could be definitely a tight game with the Cleveland Browns coming in. So the last few games for Taylor, Week 6 versus Denver, a catch, 2 yards. Week 7 versus Carolina, 3 catches, 31 yards. And Week 8 at Cincinnati before the bye, he had a big game, 5 catches, 34 yards, and a touchdown on 8 targets. So Mason Taylor, I think he's a pretty decent prospect coming out. It's his first season, obviously, in the NFL. There's going to be ups and downs. But the last 3 out of 5 games, he's had double-digit fantasy points. And like I said, I don't think Mitchell or Mechie are really going to overpass him as a number 2 option in this passing game. So this week in a mediocre matchup versus Cleveland, Taylor's a sleeper this week. So that's a few tight ends I have as sleepers for Week 10 of the fantasy football season.